Told you I'd do the countdown and I'm just like, 3, 2, 1. Sorry, here we go. Hey, what's up, everybody? Welcome to Adobe Live. We're here with Kristy Campbell of Pink Pony Creative. Following on from our session on Tuesday, we'd like to begin by acknowledging the traditional owners of the land in which we are streaming and creating from today, and pay our respects to elders past, present, and emerging. That was probably my worst countdown I've ever done, Kristy, so you're welcome.
It's okay. I was like, 3, 2, 1. Oh, here we are, quickly.
So I realized I didn't have something lined up, and so I quickly was doing something to get us all ready so everything looks good. And I was like, 3, 2, 1, here we go.
Oh, that's good. Better late than never, I say. Late than never.
We did it. What's up, everybody that is watching? If you're watching over on YouTube, welcome. We are using the live chat over on Behance today, so if you want your message or question to be seen as we're rolling along for the next hour, please jump over to behance.net/live so we definitely see it. We'll still try to catch it if it's on YouTube, but that's the chat we're using today. We've got Johanna looking after us in chat, which is fantastic with all the useful links and everything. Let me turn that music down slightly. What's up, Jamie Davis as well? Do you have a link to 1 of 2 video? Yes. So if you missed our session on Tuesday, you can jump back and check that out. We'll do a little bit of a recap, I think, Kristy, just to start with, to kind of give a surface level view of kind of what we did. But if you want to check it out in more detail and see how the sausage is made, you can do that. And then, Kristy, how are you? How's it going? What's up?
I'm great, thank you. It is good. It is Thursday afternoon here in New Zealand, but all going well. Been working hard today, so I'm excited to do something fun. Do this cool live.
Awesome. Yeah, well, we had so much fun on Tuesday, so maybe we should just get stuck into it and we'll have a chat and we can jump over to your screen and check out kind of where we're at. Let's do it.
Perfect. All right. So last couple of days ago, we worked on this really cool fun branding for a coffee company, and I just made this brief up myself. It was something that I thought about doing, thought it'd be a little bit fun. And we created this primary logo and secondary logo. This was actually done from a sketch. So I drew the logo originally, kind of roughly drew it out, and then from there pulled it into Illustrator and made it into a vector. And we kind of perfected the curves, adjusted some things until I was happy. And then from there we rolled out onto creating some really fun illustrations for the brand. I'll zoom out a little bit here so you can see these bad boys here, which I'm sure hopefully you guys who watched last time will remember these guys. We named them, which was quite fun. I can't remember some of their names, but they were pretty cute.
Love these guys.
So these were also created from a drawing. I drew them at first and then scanned it, pulled it into Illustrator and vectorized everything and used some fun, unique, different pen lines here, different brushes, just to get more of a hand-drawn effect rather than your straight that wasn't the right color. Rather than your straight line that's perfect, I wanted that sort of rough edge effect. So that was quite cool to create. And then we gave them shadowing. And then from there, we created this pattern. This was right at the end though, so I'm sure some of you would have missed that. But I just basically pulled these into a pattern just so that we could use it across the branding in a different way. But yeah, this was sort of where we got to with the brand. So today, what we're going to work on is pulling this into a few mock-ups and then taking it over, and I'll just give you a bit of an insight as to how I would put it together into a brand proposal template. Just a really short, quick little tutorial at the end there. So yeah,
sweet.
Hopefully you guys enjoy it today.
Awesome. It's so good. I love the color. Like when we're going through the process, it seemed like it was a fairly arbitrary choice. It was just kind of like, oh yeah, kind of this blue's pretty cool. But seeing it as this as it's applied, particularly to the illustrations, I think is super cool. So it ended up being a really nice choice.
Yeah, I really wanted something punchy and bold and quite different to your standard coffee shop. So I just went with this blue. I would probably, obviously if this is a real brand, I would definitely develop colors a bit more, maybe introduce a secondary color. But I'm just sticking with this today. It's fun, it's different, and it's unique. So basically we'll jump straight into the mock-up. So we're going to work on creating this cool mock-up. We want to showcase what the branding would look like on something like this that the shop would use, that they would potentially get printed and use every day in their shop. So I thought this would be a cool little example to start with.
Awesome. It's like a little coffee carrier bag thing. It's pretty cool. I've never seen anything like that one before.
Yeah, I think they're kind of a new thing. I don't know of many actual coffee shops that use these, but they can be a really cool little carrier. You know, if it's recycled material, even better. So this one had that like cool kind of craft paper effect as well. So I really liked this. So I wanted to give it a go. Nice. So with these mock-ups, what I usually do is, this is all just an insight as to, you know, this is what the brand could look like applied to your business. So basically we're not setting anything in stone here. We're just giving them a really good idea. So I start to create a bit of a look in Illustrator, and I just use vectors, and then I'll pull it all over into Photoshop.
Cool.
So we're actually going to start maybe with a white background here, because I'm thinking let's make it a white background, and we'll pull in some text. Just going to open up an artboard. All right. Now don't mind my cheesy taglines here. Too hot to handle. I thought that was rather cute for a coffee brand. And I have to say, I absolutely adore this font.
What font is this?
Cool
what do we have here?
It is Degular. It's from Adobe Fonts. I think I just found it randomly one day as well when I was searching for another project, but it is just so modern, like kind of a little bit funky. You can see the sort of curves in here and the D's and then the N's that like tighten up a little bit. I really liked those. So I thought it was a really, really cool font that we could use in the branding today.
Nice.
Maybe let's bring in this little spilly guy again, because he looks hot. All right. Maybe we'll just have a little play about where we could kind of put all the, I can bring him in here. So basically while I'm creating this, I'm kind of thinking about how I might apply this to the mock-up. So just as a quick little example, if I outline this type, copy this over, and I can bring him straight into Photoshop here and actually apply that. And if I exit out of this, I'll show you guys kind of how it all sits together. And you can see it sort of come to life. So
wow.
I'm kind of imagining we've got our Too Hot to Handle on the left side, and then maybe up in the top right corner, I'll add in some logos, just to balance it out a bit as well. Just making it really nice and big, stand out, bold. Love a good bit of bold design. Yeah. It's definitely my kind of style. Maybe let's go and bring in the logos here too.
And do you have kind of go-to fonts? Like, it probably depends on the project and everything like that, but do you have like kind of go-to fonts that you find yourself, I have to make sure I don't use that font again because I really like it?
Definitely. And I think every designer has their like favorites, and it kind of also comes in like waves. I might for a while just love this font, but then I'll find another font that I absolutely adore. But that's something I definitely have to be careful of, that not overdoing them. And it's obviously per project. Every font is different depending on what project you're using it on. But I just love, like, Adobe Fonts is amazing. Google Fonts is also so good. You can find some real gems in there, and they're all free for commercial use too. So that's always good. Because who doesn't love a free font?
Yeah, you kind of know, right. You know you're completely covered.
Yeah.
Here's the question that I promised that you would get showing the mock-up. Where do you usually get your mock-ups from? And do you make your own?
Yeah, I get my mock-ups from Yellow Images. That would probably be my top mock-up website. They're just so easy to use, so I would highly recommend them. But I also really like to use Graphic Pair. They're pretty amazing as well. I don't actually often make my own mock-ups. I'll purchase them just because it saves a lot of time, especially we create a lot of brands. We design a lot of, lots of different marketing collateral. So it's really nice to actually get the mock-up, just purchase it because it saves so much time.
Yeah.
I'm even thinking maybe we'll add our little address on the mock-up too. You got to know where to purchase the coffee from.
That's true.
So I imagine he'll sit kind of underneath there. This is already looking nice and blue. All right.
And what like color mode do you typically kind of design in? Like, we know this is going to be all digital, right? Like, again, it's a fictitious brief in this particular case, and we're looking to kind of put it in a brand presentation for the client. So I guess the idea that this is like a first round or maybe second round or something, and it's like, yeah, we're going to present like where we're at, kind of final kind of presentation, but they might have feedback and stuff. If you need to go into printing and stuff like that, do you need to, at what point do you start thinking about that and start thinking of like CMYK and things like that?
Funny you say this, because I was just going to talk about this when just before you said this, I thought we should talk about the color, because obviously this blue is very electric. So at the moment we are in RGB on our files. Now for a brand like this, because they are a coffee business and it was going to be a shop, you know, it's going to be in person, I would definitely be working in a CMYK. For the purpose of this Adobe Live, I wanted to like pick a really punchy blue. The other option here, so obviously I'd usually print in CMYK, and if we were to convert this, the blue would be quite a bit duller. Even if we picked the most brightest blue of CMYK, it's still going to be quite a lot duller. But we could go with an option like this and use Pantones if we had, if we wanted to go down that path. I think that I'm pretty sure there is a Pantone. It's just called Pantone Blue. Do you know much about Pantones?
I haven't used a Pantone book, I think, since school, so not really.
I'm pretty sure there's just like the standard Pantone Blue. Don't know, I can't remember what the number is exactly, but is a blue exactly like this. Just really bright, bold. So you could kind of go down that route as well if you wanted to continue this bright, bold blue. Let's go. It's crazy how, because of the digital age, Pantones are just, or even print is, you just don't do it as much, so people don't know as much about print as probably we used to. Yeah,
absolutely. Yeah, it's changed so much. Like, even if you're a print designer, there's just so much digital going on, from everything we're talking about, creating the logo, creating the branding, like doing digital mock-ups, the client presentation, plus even though it's a coffee shop and that's where you buy your coffee, they're going to have a website, they're going to have social media, they might want to do some marketing collateral. Like, even though, it's still a storefront, so much is still going to be digital and has to work in the digital space. So,
exactly.
There used to be a thing when, showing my age again, but when we were in design school, it was like, do you want to be like a web designer or do you want to be a print designer? And, that's how long ago I was hanging out in school. But yeah, it's quite interesting because obviously you just don't have that. You're a designer now. There's so many aspects underneath that umbrella of design that you need to wrap your head around and understand.
Definitely.
And things like that.
Yeah, for sure. But print is so nice, especially in design. Like when you're designing a brand or packaging, for example, and then you get things printed, it's actually so nice to hold it in your hands and sort of look at your design, like thinking, I did this, and you've got it there, and it's physical, and it's not just on a screen.
So true. Yeah, it's made it even more precious, I think.
Yeah, it has actually. Well, I like these little guys with the stickered like edge on them.
Yeah, this is really cool. So how did you do that? Because I remember on Tuesday's episode, you did something called offset within there.
Yeah.
Is that how you created that outline?
Well, there's two ways that I go about creating an outline like that. So I'll show an example. Let's pull this guy. We'll do an example on him.
This is a happy little guy. This is really cool.
Oh, he really is, isn't he? With a little steam coming out. So if we had a object like this, what I would do is there's a couple of ways. We could totally create an offset path from it where we add in, say 2, maybe 3, a little bit thicker. Might even be too thick. make that white. So by adding the offset, and then let's just push it to the back, you can add that outline around it. So that's a really easy way to do it, actually. Or there's another way, which is probably a little bit more complex, unusual, where I just add a stroke and then I end up expanding it. But this way works pretty well, doing an offset. And then from here, basically what I'd do is I'd grab that white background. Oh no, I can't see the rest of my, I need my Pathfinder. There he is.
Oh, good old Pathfinder.
I lost him for a minute. Yeah. So just going back
so much shade to Pathfinder on Tuesday that it's paying us back.
And now I'm using it. So there you go. You can use both Pathfinder and Shape Builder tool. So I'll just join all the shapes there, and I'll just turn them white and push them to the back. Oh no, I actually might have selected. Oh, let's go back. I didn't ungroup him.
And this is what we're talking about in Tuesday's stream with the Pathfinder. It's very easy, and this is just with two elements really, to kind of get lost, and the right one needs to be up the back and things like that. And it wasn't knocking Pathfinder necessarily. We were just talking about how useful Shape Builder tool is. So if you haven't had a look at that, check that out, because it's a lifesaver when you're creating logos and shapes and things like that.
So we've got him to a point where now the blue is separated from the white, and then we can go and delete this nice little edge there, just so that we can make that white solid, and then we're good to go. And he's like a little sticker. Yeah,
that's awesome.
So that's how I created those little guys, and then I just inverted them to create the blue versions too. So I thought that'd be a really cool addition, because we're kind of getting this sticker effect. Using the circles on circles. I thought it'd be quite cool. We could even bring in some similar sticker-like effects, and even pull them and put them on the coffee cups.
Oh, really cool.
Something a little bit different.
That offset kind of technique is how I printed my last stickers as well. I was like, how do you do that again? Obviously, I just Googled and saw someone doing a quick tutorial, as you do. Like, what's the best way to do that again? But yeah, to create the bleed for the stickers, if they're going to be like a die cut sticker, it's such a useful little thing. So if you're ever doing stickers, that's the technique.
They're the way to go.
It's the way to be. If you have questions while we're rolling along, please let us know in chat. We have one here from Krista. They say, "Hi Kristy, I'm a Kiwi graphic designer in Wellington and absolutely love your work. How did you gain the confidence to go out on your own?" Good question.
Ooh, great question. I think I worked for other businesses for a while. I worked for about 7 years before I started my business. So I really got experience from a lot of other designers, even just people in other industries. I learned more about business by doing that. I think because of social media these days, you follow so many people and you get this sense of, oh my gosh, everyone's going out on their own, everyone's starting businesses, but there's no rush as well. And I think you can really benefit from learning from others, especially, other senior designers above you. So that's really important. So I did get a lot of confidence, and I learned a lot from those people. And then when it came to actually starting my business, it was scary, but it's just one of those things. You just gotta bite it on the head and give it a go. I read this quote the other day, and it was something like, "You're too smart to be the only thing standing in your own way." If that was right, that's probably not exactly what the quote is, but sort of in that sense, that kind of thing. But I quite liked that quote. Yeah.
Well, there we go. Hope that helps out, Krista. Let us know if you have any other questions as we're rolling on. That is it's the hardest thing about anything really, is starting, is actually, getting started. And then before you know it, you kind of look back and you realize how much you did, and the difficult parts and the fun bits and everything. But yeah, it always seems to be that first step seems to be the hardest.
Exactly. And just start slow and know that just do the best you can every day. Take a step at a time. This has turned into a motivational Thursday.
Because can design some Instagram like inspirational quotes at the end if we have time or something.
100%. Love it. Oh no, cool. You know what we could also add up here in this corner? Let's add a little website, and the cups are looking cool though.
Love the cup. It's so cool.
I'm going to take this font as well. So something that I do, and I'm not sure how other designers do this, but I'll just create this massive artboard where a lot of my developments and like bits and pieces are going, so that I can reuse assets that I've used in, say, your coffee cups. I might use them in a social media post. So I just kind of build up this big artboard, and then when I go to finalize everything, that's when I sort of separate them into their own artboards, create the right sizes. For me, that was just like a way that worked well. And I think it's important to remember to do whatever works best for you.
Yeah, absolutely.
Through you.
And you'll do that in Illustrator, so different artboard for kind of each kind of export, like asset you're exporting kind of thing, if we use that word.
Yeah. Like if I was to, so as you can see here, this would be, the lid, the carrier, and then these are the coffee cups. They're just kind of like a brief outline, but then, once the mock-up's approved or the client's like, yes, love the brand, then I'd actually go into starting up a new artboard, creating each artboard, sorry, that made no sense, creating a new Illustrator file for all the different assets. I think I finally got that out. Did that make sense? That
made sense to me. Yep.
Okay, good. My mind feels a little scattered today. Needed another coffee. Should have got to brew you coffee.
Yes.
All right. Can add this in. Little Instagram handle. Well, let's add a little follow us. And we'll do the same thing and add them in here. You can also use your libraries really nicely for stuff like this. If you wanted a really quick way of using assets over and over again, it's definitely a good way to go about it too.
Yeah, I find libraries is really great for things that you have to do all the time. Like if it's your own brand and you have your own logo and palette and assets and things like that you're just constantly looking for and adding into projects and things like that, it's great to just have it super handy. Or if you have like ongoing clients and that you work for, ongoing, I guess. I said that at the start. Yeah. I don't need to say that again. It's just great to have it super handy and in the app, and you don't have to go digging it up.
Exactly. So I feel like I'm pretty happy with this mock-up.
It is cool.
He's funky, fresh. You definitely spot it if you are holding the coffees in your hand, especially the blue cups. Recycled material, of course.
And I like that it says too hot to handle and you're carrying coffee with a handle. I don't know if that was intentional, but that
was.
Yeah.
That was intentional. That's why I thought it was pretty cute to add to the cups of coffee.
Nice.
Added that cute little touch there. All right.
Oh, can we just have a look at the mock-up one more time if you still...
Of course.
Yeah. So I just thought something was really cool about this mock-up, like the difference between a really great mock-up and maybe other ones that you might just kind of stumble across is like, look, the difference of the texture, like on the coffee cup. And if you look at the top right-hand corner as well, because it has that like cardboard recycled look, and the texture that's coming through in the logo, like that just looks so perfect. Like it's so great.
It does.
For everything that's coming through. And if you compare that to the actual asset, it's just a flat color. Like it's a flat vector art color. But just by putting it in the mock-up, like it really just adds so much to it. I just thought that was really cool.
Yeah, and that's why like purchasing mock-ups, investing in good mock-ups and paying money is so worth it in the long run. Like I can't even describe how like the quality of purchase when you purchase mock-ups. I remember at uni, I guess being a poor uni student, you never want to spend money on this kind of stuff, and you're always going for the free version. But since I had my business, even when I first started my business, I was like, oh, I don't want to buy them. No one wants to pay for that kind of stuff. But since I've bought them and, started to build up my mock-up library, the quality and the look of everything is just that much more professional. And clients really go, wow, like this looks amazing. I can really imagine what this is going to look like. Cool. So we've got this cool little coffee handle, I like to call them.
Nice.
And we're gonna now, so I thought of something also a cute little addition to this, a business card, but in a different sort of style. So obviously for a coffee business, you wouldn't necessarily have a business card. So I thought we could create these cool little cards that maybe they would hand out as a marketing strategy, and you get a free coffee.
Oh yeah, like the loyalty cards.
Yeah. So
Nice.
I had this little quote as well: coffee, the most important meal of the day. So here's one for you. So I thought that was a bit cute.
Nice.
So we could add this onto the business card. So in a similar sense, we'll create graphics for these business cards. Once again, it's not like set in stone. We're just creating a bit of a look and feel as to what it could look like. So let's go front. I'm imagining these will be blue.
Kate in chat has said, I'm a student and Adobe mockups are a saint. That's cool.
Oh,
That's
yes. Great. Love that.
Just checking in with chat while we're rolling along. Tam, streaming from Adelaide, Australia. I'm a graphic designer. That's super cool.
It's really cool.
Working for a company called Blend Creative. Awesome. I haven't heard of Blend. I'll check it out after the stream. I love getting homework after the stream.
Blend. Yeah, I'll definitely look that up too. Degular. Oh, Degular is just so good. There's so many amazing. I'm obsessed with it, clearly.
Yeah.
And I think our other font is Input. Another really nice font, really modern, fresh. Quite like those. They're almost like a little bit robotic style.
Right.
I love fonts like that.
And so we've got two fonts here. Like, what's your approach to fonts? And I guess as in, if you were presenting it to the client, like, is 2 fonts, on average, generally what you kind of recommend for people? You probably don't want to overload them. Hey, here's 20 fonts and you got to buy it from these foundries, and it's just
Definitely.
A coffee shop or something. They're like, what? I got to buy a font? What?
Yeah.
So yeah, what's your approach with fonts and kind of presenting to clients and things?
So fonts are really interesting because obviously you can get some amazing fonts, but some of them, especially the type foundry fonts, they're like $500 for a font. And your typical small business client won't understand the benefits of a beautiful font like that. So they would be definitely opting for your free commercial use fonts, or, your cheap your cheaper $80 style fonts. So depending on the client can depend on where I look for my fonts. A lot of my clients are small businesses and they actually don't really want to invest in fonts. So I do stick to, say, Google fonts to give them, but there's some amazing fonts in Google fonts. So I can give you some really nice options. But as a bit of an example, I'll just pull over these guys. But when choosing fonts, I always go for your classic header, subheader and body. So in this header example, in this instance, we would have Degular as the header font, and we've got Input Sans as our subheading font. And then for, say, website copy, maybe they've got, menus, in-house menus, we would just add a body font. Depending on these 2 fonts, maybe we're going to keep it Input Sans, maybe, and just have it lowercase. Because something that I do find, sometimes we overcomplicate them and try and make them sort of too fancy, or we pair really stylized fonts with other really stylized fonts. So we want to sort of keep it pretty slick and not overdo it. So another font that probably could look really nice as a body example here could be Carla. And I know this is a free Google font, so
nice.
I'll just show a bit of an example as to love a bit of fill with placeholder text. So this is sort of an example as to what it could look like all together. Because this is quite stylized, I've just gone with a really standard, beautiful sans serif font. Yeah.
Nice.
But
very cool.
Fonts can be so, I think just as you learn and grow as a designer, the more years you have, the more you're going to learn about fonts and the more fonts you've got in your head. So, yeah.
Well, I think it's all great. Yeah, that was awesome to hear your perspective on that. I definitely think, particularly for those that are, just learning and, you know, running their business or freelancing and things like that is that key point that you mentioned before is like just really thinking about what the client really needs. You know, like if it's a, I don't know, if it's a brand new business or like maybe a startup or someone's just starting out, they're probably not at the point where they want to invest in a craft-based font. But if you're working for, I don't know, like we were talking, Kristy, about design conferences that might be in New Zealand or something, then, you know, that client is probably like, yeah, we want to use like a super cool, you know, font that's going to appeal to our audience. It's worth the kind of investment. So it definitely depends on the client and the situation, budget, of course, all that sort of thing.
For sure, 100%. I think the client will really appreciate you keeping that in mind as well, instead of hitting them with this really expensive font and they're sort of like, oh gosh, why? I didn't, you know, don't have this in my budget.
Yeah.
But yeah, so keeping them in mind is also really key. I'm going to add these two little stickers, sort of sticker style again on the back of this card. So we can maybe add them in here. And then let's bring him in as well. And we could get him looking pretty cool.
I think the sunglasses, the black tinted like sunglasses, just make anything look cool.
They do, yeah. It's the like reflection effect on them.
Yeah, totally.
All right. Let's see what this is starting to look like. So you can see it comes through into the mock-up. If you follow me on Instagram, you might have seen that I did post a mock-up of this the other day, actually, using this business card. It's called business card mock-up. So yeah, as you can see here, what I was talking about before, where I just start to create a whole lot of assets within the one Illustrator board. And then if I was going to actually finalize my business card file, I'd create a new Illustrator file purely for that.
Right. So you create like a business card file, save it separately, and do it rather than doing everything from one big master doc.
Definitely. Yeah. Okay. Just so it's really clear, and then you can get the files print ready, and there's sort of nothing else in the way, I guess.
Gotcha.
So just placing this cool pattern on the back, and it'll start to come alive.
That's really cool. That's really nice.
Yeah. Maybe just adjust the background there a bit as well. So this is a really cool mock-up.
Sorry, you go.
I think this is from Graphic Pair. I've had this for quite a long time, but I'm pretty sure I got it from there. You can see it coming together.
It's just really cool. Like, we've been talking a bit about mock-ups, but like just how much better that is than having back, front, like flat rectangles, like sitting in a presentation or something like that. Like, the difference is chalk and cheese. Like, it really looks professional. It looks really great. And you know the client's going to want to get them printed because they look cool. Exactly.
We're really trying to sell the idea, sell the concept to the client at this point. So we'll just save him as well. So they're starting to look really nice together. Like, you can imagine them paired together, the card and the carry bag. Maybe they get a free coffee when they buy a coffee. I wouldn't mind that, to be honest. That would be lovely.
That'd be great.
Yeah. All right. Now I thought what we'd do, we've created two mock-ups. Just quickly before I show you a brief insight as to how I put it together in a brand proposal, something that I love to do, especially because all of my clients are so hugely social media based, and they sell, basically that's Instagram is one of their one of their main lead generation platforms.
Yeah.
So I always like to showcase to my clients what the new brand would look like on Instagram, because I think it's sort of like, it becomes almost like the face for your business online. Facebook maybe used to be like that, but Instagram's the new, and TikTok, I have to say.
Yep. Do you find many clients are on TikTok as well, or are they asking for things on there?
Not as many. I don't know. Yeah, not as many. Instagram's still, for me, especially with all my clients, the main source of leads. Also, that already looks really punchy.
Yeah.
This is actually a mock-up that I made myself, just to make this whole process a lot easier and quicker.
That's cool. Well, we're talking about, like, you know, where do you get your mock-ups from, and do you make your own and everything? You're like, I don't often do it, and then you're like, anyway, here's a mock-up I made.
Here's one I did. To be honest, this is probably like one of the only ones I have made. So just to make my life a whole lot easier, you know, instead of screenshotting things, photoshopping them, let's go in and change the highlight covers. So I'm imagining for these highlight covers, we could do a set of like the cool icons here and introduce those wee guys. These will start to look really cool across the highlight covers there. Oh, look at him.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah, he's starting to look really cute. So we can do the same thing again. Pulling him across. And maybe you'd showcase it like white, one blue, one white. You could kind of let them go alternative. But I think today let's just go blues. These blue little babies. I clearly give some weird words to all my designs. Blue babies, bad boys. Very descriptive.
Find it helps. Right. Makes it a bit fun.
Yeah. You know, they're characters. I'm making them come alive.
And just checking with chat as well. And we have 20 minutes left. It goes quick, doesn't it? Actually, the second one's gone very quick.
It goes so quick.
But yeah. So if you have any questions as we're rolling along, there's been a couple of questions so far. But yeah, if you have any, don't hesitate to throw it in while we're hanging out with Kristy. Well, we're lucky to have her with us.
On this fine Thursday. All right, so I'm going to keep kind of putting these guys in the highlight covers. But it's starting to really take shape. Oh, I accidentally pasted another guy there.
Got two in there.
Yeah. Let's just get rid of him. Cool. Last one. You know, we could even just put our old brand mark in here, see what that looks like. Kind of racing through because we don't have a whole lot of time left, but it's sort of taking shape. We're starting to be able to see what the Instagram might look like.
Yeah.
And it's all pieced together.
And this just makes me think of, because of your platforms on social media, and, you know, high count and, you know, high retention and all that sort of stuff is probably where a lot of people are finding you, which you've mentioned before. When you're, you know, engaged with the client to do the brand, do they ever say, hey, can you kind of look at our social media approach as well, or help us out with this, or anything like that?
Definitely.
That comes up? Yeah.
It actually does come up. Yeah, I think because I guess when you start to grow on social media, you know, people will look at you like an expert and you know how to grow social media platforms. And I have learned a lot about how to grow platforms, you know, the right strategies to use, things that work, things that don't. So I do help out clients in that way as well, which is pretty cool. But yeah, social media has changed my business for the better, for sure. So we can start to kind of add in a couple of posts. So this is the kind of thing as well, if I was creating these social media posts, maybe I just end up creating them in our sort of working file that I've got here. Let's add another, maybe we'll just add this guy and he can become a social media post.
Nice.
Yeah. Quickly pulling it together.
They've got like a kind of photo kind of mock-up, like as if it was a photo in the cafe, and then like a bit more of a graphic kind of post with maybe some more details, information. Is that like one-on, one-off kind of thing, something that, you know, is good for social media or something? Is there a reason for that?
I feel like it totally depends on the business, and also depends on the sort of kind of content you post. But one thing I've learned and that I've also seen, a lot of people can take social media way too seriously. And I think that's sort of been key in my growth, as being part of it. Sort of, you know, I'll just put up whatever feels good, whatever feels right. It doesn't have to be perfect. As much as we can try and chase perfectionism, it doesn't need to be perfect. And I think we all sort of tend to put up these barriers that, you know, our feed needs to look so on point.
Right.
But I think sometimes that puts up a block without us realizing. Oh, he's taking shape. We're almost there. And we will then, I quite liked all these images too. These were just sort of free stock images that I thought would be quite suitable for the cafe. And I'll just pop in the last one here as a bit of a, maybe we'll make it blue. Ooh. Blue cube, blue post. See, I'm using the same assets sort of over and over again, just you getting that really branded look and feel.
Yeah, it's really cool. Like I noticed in the Tuesday one, like how many assets you were creating, and then you created the pattern. And I think I sort of mentioned like how valuable that's going to be when you've got all these other touch points, and like here we are, and you're just kind of throwing things together, but you've got a lot. You've got like the pure white version, you've got the blue version. This is all just two colors, or one color really. It's just blue.
It actually is just blue.
And all these different assets, but then, you know, it fits really well in the highlights, fits really well in the logo. You've got the posts and everything. It's really coming together as a brand. So you've kind of given yourself I don't want to use the word ammunition, but I'm going to, because I'm too dumb to think of another better word at the moment. But like, you have a lot of room, I guess. There's a lot of assets to play with. There's lots of things you can do. You're not kind of stuck like, oh, how do I make, you know, I don't know. It gives you a lot of places to go, I guess.
Exactly, yeah, which is why I really love creating these beautiful brand patterns, whether it's like shapes, patterns, stripes, or maybe it's sort of character illustrations like this. Maybe it's other types of illustrations. Then they can that made no sense. Then they can be used throughout your whole brand in social media posts, on the highlight covers, and you can really utilize everything, which is really cool. So
nice. And
it gives you that very unique look. Cool. So I reckon from here, from our mock-ups right here, I'm just going to start to take it into a bit of a brand proposal. So this is sort of where, you know, I've created the design, the brand, the concept that I really want to showcase my client, and how I'm going to showcase that. I'm going to pull it into a brand proposal template.
Oh, cool.
So these are also something I've created, and they're basically just a proposal template. So it's all sort of set in stone every time I create this for clients, and I'll go through and add in my new brands, my new concepts, you know, change the client name. So we've got, you know, Brew You, and just adjust it for my clients, and go through and do all these sort of bits and pieces to create this unique brand proposal for the client.
And this is obviously something you've kind of iterated on over time to get to a place that is really comfortable to you. When you started out, did you like work from an original template and it's just kind of Frankensteined over time till it's exactly what you like?
Yeah, definitely. And I remember the original one, it was even just, I think I even just had the client name and then my business name at the very top, and that was it. It wasn't really much of a template. It was basically just 2 words, and I wouldn't even present much. But now we've got, you know, introductions, so the client can read it through, sort of understand what they're about to see, and sort of get them thinking about questions that they're gonna ask themselves while going through this brand template. So nice. They can be really powerful, and also really time saving as well. Yeah. So this is where I go in, you know, change all these bits and pieces to apply our brand. So you can go through, and we're going to add in our primary logo. So here you go, pop them on there, and just giving like lots of breathing room. So it's really clear. We're going to talk through the logo, talk through our points, why we chose things, why we chose to make it a really hand-drawn effect, that kind of stuff. And you're basically just going through and applying all your assets to the brand proposal to send to the client, things like that.
Cool.
Kind of go through and do the same for these pages as well.
And you're just copying and pasting in the because it's vector, right? And so even if you wanted to scale up or anything like that, you have no issues in InDesign with that. So you can just scale it up, no dramas.
And the thing I love about doing it this way is that, if I've got white on blue background, I can then reverse it really easily. So I could then change it to the white if needed. Depending on the complexity of the logos or the designs, I would export them from Illustrator as like PNGs, JPEGs, and then import them into InDesign. But yeah, I find this way works quite well just for sort of simple vectors, pulling them across and placing them into InDesign. And once again, the libraries could also be used here. Can pull them across. These kind of become our standard brand marks for Brew You.
Nice.
Yeah. And this is where we could go in and add our brand pattern. Don't know what's happening with my words today.
I started stumbling on some of mine at the beginning, and I think it's infectious.
I think so. I'm going all over the show today.
It's all right. I'm picking up everything you're putting down. It all makes sense.
That's good. So I'll show you a quick little example. If I was to have this brand pattern, I'd probably export this as a PNG or as a JPEG. So let's just export this as a JPEG. And he's number 21.
And that's the artboard. So that was 21, the artboard, right?
Yeah, that's the one. So I'm just referring to the artboard number there. And then I can easily place him into InDesign. Yeah, and here you go.
Nice.
So we're just showcasing the pattern. I've got a few words as to what the brand pattern is, what it can be used for, because a lot of the time the clients aren't designers and they won't necessarily know exactly what we're talking about. And then we kind of go through and basically do the same thing with the remainder of the brand. So we'll add in supporting graphics. Maybe that's the illustrative icons. So it's these guys, and we could show them, as separate icons and sort of talk through the way that we could use them in social media templates and things. So a really cool little insight there. And color palette, we would add in our blues. So just really going into full detail about what the look and feel of the brand will be like.
And when you're creating this kind of client presentation deck, are you thinking about it as something that you send to the client? Are you thinking about it as something that you're going to present, obviously at the moment, probably, digitally in some way? Like, is it something that you would leave behind with the client? Like, what's your process in thinking about how the client presentation goes down?
Yeah, so with the client presentation, I typically just send it over an email with the PDF, and I sort of give them a few pointers to think about when they open it, they read it through, and I also say to them, hey, look, once you've read through, let's set up a Zoom call to chat through it. I just like to do it that way because it gives the clients a chance to take a good look at everything and read through everything slowly, take it in, think about it for a couple of days, and then get back to me. And a lot of my clients are actually overseas, so I can't meet with them in person as such.
Right.
And I think that's sort of a lot of people in this day and age.
Yeah.
Everyone's overseas. So let's also import the mock-up here and put them on a page as well. So you can actually see here, this is where we sort of would run into the issues about the print color. This is now that duller blue because the page is actually CMYK.
I did notice that.
A bit more complex.
Yeah,
a bit more complex printer color code mode stuff. But because this is a tint, I think that's where it changes. Yes, so this is the kind of thing we'd think about. Maybe there is a printed version, a CMYK blue, that we go into a bit more detail on the color page, on the color palette, just to showcase them that option to say, hey, this is what it would look like digitally, but this is the print version of the blue.
Yeah. Yeah.
But I still love that, you know, what it comes out like. It's still powerful. The blue looks really good, punchy.
It looks super cool, and like it's the sort of thing that get a client really, really excited. Like it's this brand and name and coffee shop they're, you know, just launching, or maybe they're having a rebrand after they've, you know, thrown something together themselves, and like, oh, we want to get a professional in here now. We're growing,
exactly.
You know, had people comment on our Comic Sans in our menus and stuff, and we need a bit. We've been told that we need to have a bit of a refresh.
Need to sharpen up.
Yeah, and then you come back with, you know, something like this, and it shows all these possibilities and what you can do with it and everything, and just getting them really excited and happy and wanting it to be, you know, done. Like, let's print it, let's do it, let's build some stuff.
Yeah. Exactly. We could even add, you know, if we were creating, just as a little tip, I'm just thinking with these cool sticker like graphics here, we could, let's just make this a square artboard, and we're going to make this blue. We could even add like a cool slight drop shadow effect, so we get this almost real like sticker effect. So if we go into stylized drop shadow and just add a really little drop shadow. Drop shadows, you can definitely overdo it. So I always like to keep my drop shadows very, very faint.
I was always told if you can notice that there's a drop shadow, it's too strong. You need to make it more subtle.
Definitely. Really, really subtle. I like that tip. Yeah, even something like that where it's really subtle, but it just gives that like three-dimensional look and added sort of effect to the whole drawing. Let's do another one, eh? Could even be bumped up just slightly. Also, that's looking pretty cool.
It's really cool. Yeah, it definitely gives it that 3D look. It like differentiates it from flat vector artwork to this, you know, this could be a sticker.
Exactly. Oh, it's looking pretty cool. Maybe you did turn these into stickers. Maybe that was like part of another marketing strategy. They created these cool stickers that people could put on laptops, phones, things like that. You could even just enhance it.
It's like come into the coffee shop with our sticker on your laptop, and you get a discount on your coffee or something.
Oh, we should just start. This is a real coffee shop.
Yeah.
Brilliant.
Just need to work out how to make coffee, and we're there.
And then we're there. Then we're good to go.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're looking really cool. So when you see like an overview of everything I've got on my artboard, on this Illustrator artboard, everything, you know, I'm just using those assets over and over again, making sure it's really consistent, looks very branded. And then, like I said before, I'd just go on and make those separate Illustrator artboards for things like printed business cards and stuff like that.
Well, so that is perfect timing, Kristy. We're out of time, so we need to say our goodbyes. Now, this has been so much fun hanging out with you. Thank you so much. Thank you so much for taking us through this whole process. For all of you watching, I hope you caught Tuesday's previous stream. If you didn't, go back and check that out, so we can see the whole process coming through here, from building the logo, different logo types for different situations, all of these extra assets and things you can add in to kind of really beef up the project, show what can be done. Covered mock-ups and even a client presentation. That's incredible, Kristy. You've done so much.
Everything there. Thank you. No, it was so much fun. I loved working on this with you, and I hope everyone learned something today and can implement it into their own branding and their client proposals.
I'm sure there was so much in there that was fantastic. Thank you, everybody, for joining us. We'll be back next week. We've had a lot of fun with graphic design this month. Next month, we're going to jump into motion, video, and animation. So I hope you can join us. And once again, Kristy, thank you so much for hanging out with us on Adobe Live.
No, thank you. Thank you, everybody.
Bye, everyone. See ya.
Bye.